Okay, let's get started. I'm June from Microsoft. I'm currently directly working with Outlook web team to address their issue with Chromium and Edge browser. So today, I'm presenting a proposal to extend the long task API to include support for web workers. Okay, next pages. So, so we have long task APIs, LOF API. They are powerful performance API that allows web developers identify and track long-running tasks on the main thread. But the problem is these APIs only focus on the main thread. So our Outlook team has observed the delay in the post messages caused by long task running in the web worker. So, it's a challenge to identify which tasks are blocking others from executing. So to address this, I'm proposing an extension to the long task API to support web workers. So let me illustrate this with an example. So imagine a scenario where the main thread sends the post message every 6 milliseconds, every 60 milliseconds. So if each task is completed within the 60 millisecond, everything runs smoothly. But what happens if a task, say task 3, take longer than expected? In this case, the subsequent tasks get delayed. For example, if you look at the task 4, they spend 48 milliseconds in the message queue. So, but the problem is right now there's no straightforward way to identify such a long running task on the worker thread. That's why I'm trying to update the current long task API to support web workers. Here is it's my proposal to extend the task attribution timing API or interface to support web workers. So the currently, is a long task API is not used. Is almost the LOF API almost replacing the long task API, but we can add more details about the web long task running on the web worker to the task attribution timing interface. We can get the more details about the long running task on the web workers like this. So if you look at the duration and entry type, the properties, they are just same as the main thread. But if you look at the name properties, it returns the task name given in the post messages. So in this case, we need to change the post message API to set the additional task name. I talk about this change in the next slide. And if you look at the content type properties, this one can return the type of web workers, such as dedicated workers and shared workers or service workers. In this case, the developers can easily know which the type of the web workers. And then container source and container ID and container name properties can return some more details about the web workers, such as the URL and worker ID and then the name property of the workers. Okay, so to make this proposal work, we also need to update post message API to set the name of the task. So if developer set the name of the task and like this, and then user can the name of the task from the name property of the task attribution timing interface. So in this case, of course, we need to change the post message API specifications. Here is an example of a performance entry for a long task running on the web workers. As you can see, so we pass the name as the input on the random number. Then the long task has the input on the 35. So it has the more details about the web workers, associated web workers, the dedicated workers, and the source URL, and then worker ID, and then container name. This is the web worker name. So, okay, so okay, I show the demo, yeah. This demo is just same as the example I already introduced, just sending the main threads and just send the task every 60 milliseconds. Okay, just stop. Yeah. So in this case, the 203 milliseconds is a long task. So if the developer runs the long task API in the worker thread, it can easily collect the long task like this. It has the container ID, and then container name and source, and the container type. So the problem is, not the problem is that in this case, if you need to run the observer API, performance observer API on each worker thread, and then we have the main thread should collect all the collected entry using the maybe post message API. Okay, the next page is. Okay, is the currently is the minimum duration for long task API is just 50 milliseconds, which means if the task is, should take more than 50 milliseconds, then the API can collect those entries, those long tasks as an entry. But I'm not sure is this the appropriate for web workers, because the use case is quite different from the main thread. Main thread is related to the layout update and then responsiveness, but maybe 50 milliseconds is a enough value. But for the web workers, you might need to change the current threshold value. This is just maybe constant value, but we should making it configurable for the web workers, maybe, or maybe main thread. And also currently there is no details about each function for the long task. So we might need to expose the function name or character position for the long running task like the ROAP API. Okay, so here is my slide. Do you have any questions?
Okay, let me stop the recording and we